Welcome to Indie Beacon Radio, where creative souls can find help in marketing their creations. You can send questions for each show on Twitter using the hashtag IndieBeacon. Now sit back and enjoy learning about our guest for this show.
Hello, and thank you for tuning in. I am your host for tonight, Jocelyn Aranetta Dion Holiday, 27 letters, one more than the alphabet. We are so excited to have a Texas author with us tonight by the name of E.L. DuBois. Welcome to the show.
Hi.
Hi.
Thank you guys for having me. Thank you so much.
We're so glad you could join us. Can you start off by just telling us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I was born and raised in Texas. I absolutely love Texas. That's why every book I write takes place in Texas. And so I have one daughter and my husband who is also an author as well. My brother is an author, and he also does script writing and adapts for screen. So we are very, what is the word I'm looking for? My brain just went blank. We're a very creative family, if that makes sense.
Yes, that makes sense. Well, I know just from reading about you, you have a lot of creative works, and you also have a motto that
Yes.
I love. Can you share your motto with everyone?
Thank you. Yes, if you do positive things and you just put goodness out there into the world, you have a way of good things coming back to you as long as you do it without any expectations. Kind of my motto is do good things and good things come back to you without you really expecting it to.
I love that motto. And we've had a chance to talk to you once before, and since that time, you have done a lot in a very short period of time. You released a new book in October, Ransom, Texas.
Yes, I did. It was actually a book. That was the first book I ever wrote 15 years ago. And it came from an idea. I have, like I said, my little brother's an author. J. Mackey Matasak, by the way. Follow him on Twitter. You're going to wish you were there from the beginning, believe me. When he was 14, we're 10 years apart, and so I was probably about 24. We were just sitting on the couch, and we love all things Texas, all things kind of I love all things supernatural, that kind of thing. And we were watching From Dusk Till Dawn. And my brother came up with this idea. I don't even remember exactly what it was. And I said, oh, wouldn't it be great if it was this guy, and this happened? And he said, I would totally read that. And so I literally went right then and wrote the first chapter and brought it back to him. And he was like, I love it. Keep writing it. And so I did, and then life kind of happened, and my first book that came out, The Glass Mask, I had to go through all of that, and then I had lost the digital copy of it, but my little brother, God love him, had kept I had printed out a hard copy of it, and he still had it 10 years later. And so really all we had to do was retype it back up, which my wonderful husband was able to do for me and add in his own little, quirks and sense. And he added in some chapters and that kind of thing. And we started with a series, and I love it because I'm really excited about this series because I feel like Ransom needed to be written for the second book, Nola Bound, which is coming out April 30th, I've heard from the beta readers that they absolutely love the characters. They love the dynamic. They think it's hilarious. And so I think I hit the mark. And it was setting up this huge arc for all of the books that are to come. There's like 6 in this series, 6 in a spin-off series of one of the characters, and then eventually 6 that'll be their children. So I have like the next 16 books. I have it on my wall here. I don't want to give it away. This is my office. You can see I have all of my boards and everything. And that was literally our next one. And we were just, I told my husband, I was like, you know what? I had to be the bad guy in my last book. I felt like it was so bad as far as not bad writing, but bad things happened. And I was like, I'm going to give you the bad guys. So that's basically how it's set up is I wrote the good guys and he wrote the bad guys. And it came together, and it came together in a way where the beta readers said that they could vaguely tell the shift, but it was a shift in characters. So it was like the writing was so similar, it blended well together.
Wow, and you said 16 books?
Yes, ma'am. 4 more in the Ransom Texas series, and like Nola Bound is coming out April 30th, like I said, and that one pays homage to everything that I love about New Orleans. I love Texas, and I've been fortunate enough to have been to New Orleans and just fell in love with the city. Fell in love with the city so much that my husband knows me very well. When he buys me coffee, he buys me Cafe Du Monde from Jackson Old Jackson Square, New Orleans, Louisiana. And so Ransom was great because it takes place in Texas, and I got to highlight, when I had the idea for it with my brother, I had lived in West Texas, and I remember when I lived in West Texas, I was going to college. I was like 19 years old, and I had this old Jeep that had no top and no doors, and I would go down this dip in the road where it was like a valley in between like the mountains, and it would just get really cold right there at nighttime, and it was so creepy. I remember thinking then that something could happen out here and no one would be the wiser for a very long time if they ever knew it all. So I always kind of kept that in the back of my mind, and I was like, if I ever wrote a story about Texas, I would want to make it take place here. So that's the concept of it, is that Ransom's a small town. I don't want to give too much away. Something very bad happens, and it's got to do with Native American folklore, and this hero emerges that was already a hero in one aspect because he was the football god, that kind of thing. But he has to do some very bad things that people aren't going to understand, but essentially it's to save the world. And so by him becoming this kind of hero that's supernatural, not by his own making, but by someone else's actions, caused kind of like a thing in his bloodline to be activated where he didn't understand at first what's going on. He realizes he's running faster, he's much stronger, and that kind of thing. But then weird stuff starts happening, and he's like, wait a minute, And so the story itself, I love it. It's great because it got to highlight like that Texas personality. Like I can pick out a character in the book and I'm like, that guy right there is based on my dad. He talks just like my dad. And, or I can find another character and be like, that guy right there is a combination of some of my friends from high school, and so, but the way that they speak and they talk, it would be what you would consider kind of like a Hell or High Water modern Western meets a supernatural, like the TV show Supernatural, or paranormal type thing. I had one reviewer said it was Supernatural meets From Dusk Till Dawn. And I was like, that's great, because, that was the movie that inspired it. And so I was able to take that, and he gets to go, the main character's name is Cowboy, and he gets to go from Texas, which he's never been out of Texas, to Louisiana, to not just Louisiana, but New Orleans for this next one that's coming out on the 30th of April. And he has initially right off, he meets a friend there named Rourke, which was inspired. I wanted to pay homage to my dad and brother absolutely loved Beto O'Rourke, so we named him Rourke. And Rourke is the epitome of a Cajun, and to the point where I had to try to remember the Cajun dialect that I knew. And I found out that Google Translator does not translate Cajun, just so everybody knows. You have to just figure it out yourself or find somebody who speaks Cajun. I was fortunate enough to know a little bit already from friends and time spent there. And so I did know a little bit how they were supposed to speak it. I just wanted to make sure it was correct in the way that they were speaking it. And between Rourke and then another character that comes in named Tennessee, who you guessed it's from Tennessee, she, which is a female character, and I wanted there to be this strong female character that gave Rourke and Cowboy a run for their money and kept them on their toes. And that's what she does. And so I'm really excited about that one because, like I said, one of the reviewers said that it had the potential to be a cult classic, which the way that it was written and that kind of thing. And the second one is just 10 times more hilarious because in the initial one, it was sad. It was a sad story. It's initially, when it comes down to the heart of it, it was a boy who had nothing from the wrong side of the tracks that became a golden god on the football field and had lost all of his family and had made this family of his friends around him, and then in a roundabout way has to lose them again because of either by his actions or someone else's. So he's essentially orphaned again, and it's kind of like he's rebuilding these people that he lost from his life, which I thought was, to give him something back because he had lost so much. And I'm just really excited about that one. Sorry, I went off on a...
That's okay. It sounds like you are very excited. So you have Ransom, Texas, that came out in October, and
yes,
then
ma'am.
you have Nola Bound coming out in April.
Yes,
You
ma'am.
also have other things coming, and we're going to talk about that shortly, but we need to take a quick break, and then we'll be right back.
Okay, sounds wonderful.
What would you do if you found out everyone on the town council were thieves and murderers? That's what happened in Bandera, Texas in 1873. John Cruder was the marshal, yet he needed to operate outside the law in order to balance the scales of justice. He is the Midnight Marauder. You can find his books on Amazon.com and TopWesterns.com in paperback, digital, and audio. I'm Roy Clinton, and I hope you'll read The Midnight Marauder.
Love to read? Love to meet authors in person? Then check out bookfestival.network to find a book festival in your region of Texas. We are adding book festival events throughout the year, so sign up to get notices and even a coupon towards purchase of a Texas author's book. Sign up at bookfestival.network.
My Dream America, written by Helen Monday. A story of hopes and dreams and struggles and strengths of a young girl who wanted to come to America at age 13, came to America at age 21 with a suitcase and a guitar, a ticket for a year and a visa for 3 months, became a United States citizen at age 28. My Dream America can be purchased at Barnes & Nobles and Amazon. Written by Helen Monday.
Hi, Brakefield and Berkey here, award-winning authors for the Techno Thrillers books, the Enigma book series. Technology, today's weapon of choice, the cyber good guys versus the cyber bad guys.
We invite you to join our website, theenigmaseries.com, where you will get sample chapters, sample audibles, book trailers, and you can sign up for our mailing list. The books are available in ebook, paperback, and Audible. Thank you.
Welcome back to Indie Beacon Radio. Don't forget to like us, follow us, or subscribe to one of our many channels. Now, here is your host for today's show.
Welcome back to our show. Again, I am your host, Jocelyn Arenetta Dion Holiday, 27 letters, one more than the alphabet. And today we are interviewing a Texas author by the name of E.L. DuBois. and she has a lot of exciting books, some that have already been published and are out, and more to come. And we left off talking about Ransom, Texas, and Nola Bound. And you also have some other great news, a possibility of Ransom, Texas becoming a film. Can you tell us more about that?
I can tell you a few things. It has been adapted to script. It is being shopped. The hopes are, fingers crossed, that it will either be maybe a Netflix series or a actual feature film, which would be awesome either way, because when I wrote the book, I could see the movie playing in my head. That's the way it always came across to me, was I could see the movie playing in my head. So my wonderful brother, who is skilled in screenwriting, I am not in any shape or form, but it was always from the very beginning, even when he was 14 years old, I knew that if anything ever came from that he would be the scriptwriter for it. So thankfully, he has adapted it to screen, and now we'll just see what happens. And maybe this time next year I'll be preparing. Actually, not maybe. This time next year I'll be preparing to see Ransom actually come to life in some way or another. Because if you speak it into existence, it will happen, you know?
And that is right. So keep speaking into existence. I know a lot has happened for you in the last few months. So
Yes.
it is a strong possibility.
Yes, ma'am.
Ransom, Texas.
Yes, I know. I want everybody to go see it. They need to read the book first and then they go see it, you know? But I absolutely loved my brother's interpretation. It was like, yes, you know, of course he got it. He knew the tone of it. And so he was the perfect choice for that. And actually my initial book, my debut novel, The Glass Mask, was adapted by wonderful author by the name of A.L. Norton. She is a survivor and just a great friend and great person. So go follow her on all the social medias, all of that. Buy her books. Her book was actually #1 in almost every state for 5 days last week. And she was kind enough to adapt The Glass Mask for screen for me as well. And so it's being shopped around. And so maybe that'll be a Lifetime movie. It was sure as heck felt like it was when I was living it. So, you know, good things will happen. I literally had this feeling in 2019 that this was the year that big things were happening. And so I decided to throw my hat into, you know, I have always been an absolute lover of romance novels. My mom gave me my first one when I was 13, and it was a Danielle Steele novel, and I loved it, and I've loved the genre ever since. If it was something that I had to choose to read myself, it would probably be romance, paranormal, or paranormal romance, you know. And so I decided I was going to throw my hat into the romance ring, which I have What Would It Take coming out on February 12th. And I wrote that for my mom because my mom asked me, can you write me a sweet romance? And I said, yes, I will write something that you can read and I won't feel like you'll ever look at me differently again if you read it. And so she read it and she told me she cried and she absolutely loved it and she couldn't put it down. And I was like, that's exactly what I wanted, Mom. I wanted you to love it. And so I got a great cover model by the name of Brandon English, and he did a wonderful job. And then, of course, my publishers did a great job with the cover. And actually, the pre-order links came out today, so you're able to pre-order it. And I'm keeping my fingers crossed that everyone else loves it too.
Wow. So that's another thing. Not only are you working on a movie, you also have another book coming out next month, a romance novel.
Yes, dear, and I stay busy. I have a board, and this is just the first in a series. I have the next one planned out in the series and who it's going to be, and the one after that, and who it's going to be about. Each one is a standalone that takes place in the same kind of. Basically, it's based on. I came up with. Austin had an NFL sports team. This is the NFL football team, and the girl that does the public relations for the team and kind of cleans up the messes. 10 years ago in high school, she was the invisible girl, and this too good looking for his own good quarterback named Saxton Crawford was like, she was so in love with him, and he went, they parted ways in high school and that kind of thing. And he just kind of never noticed her except for maybe one time. And he's kind of got a reputation as being a bad boy in the NFL and having a lot of baggage that comes along with him. And he is now the new their quarterback leaves, like just kind of walks away from the contract negotiations, and he is the one that takes his place. And so she is thrown back into Saxton Crawford in the hallways, just like in high school. And she kind of goes back to feeling like that bumbling, invisible, teenage girl that couldn't make two sentences if he was around. And she has spent 10 years turning herself into this really strong, independent woman. And so it kind of has a funny dynamic between the two because he's never really forgot her. Like that one encounter that they had, it kind of always stuck with him. And he didn't know who she was. And so now his mystery girl, as he calls her, is back in his life 10 years later. And she doesn't really want anything to do with him. And he is so stubborn about her that there's literally a part in the book where the owner of the team says to him, that one's off limits. And he looks at the owner with a straight face and says, well, then I quit. Because, if I can't date her and be on the team, then I'm going to be able to try to date her. He's joking, of course, but that's his attitude towards her. And so it's actually called What Would It Take? Because I heard this song that I absolutely loved, and the words to the song are, what would it take to make you love me? Would it take red roses from vines to let you know that you're mine? So
that sounds very interesting, and it sounds like you have a very vivid imagination.
I do, yes, ma'am.
We need to take one more quick break, and we'll be right back.
Okay, sounds good.
Remembrances from the Heart is a compilation book of heartfelt eulogies and poems that honor the deceased and comfort the living. Beautifully illustrated and spiritually written, published Christian author Vicki Johnson has created an artistry of words that will be healing for those suffering and inspiring to those who listen, offering a sensitive message behind each passage. Remembrances from the Heart is sold worldwide. Pick up a copy today at your favorite bookstore or at a Christian bookstore near you. Visit the official website at remembrancesfromtheheart.com for more information.
What would you do if you had to put your life on hold to parent your parents? You have to laugh to keep from crying How to Parent Your Parents is a must-read book full of antidotes and practical advice to help parenting your parents. Author Charlotte Kenyon provides insights to help prepare anyone facing the challenges of caring for elderly parents. Check out our website at www.howtoparentyourparents.net.
Welcome back to Indie Beacon Radio. Don't forget to like us, follow us, or subscribe to one of our many channels. Now, here is your host for today's show.
Welcome back. And again, we are on with E.L. DuBois. It has been a pleasure interviewing you today. You have done so much, and I don't know how you manage your time, but you have to have good time managing skills. So before we leave off the air, can you give us your contact information? Where can you be reached? Your website, all of your information that you want our listeners to have.
Yes, www.eldubois.com is my main website. You can follow me on Twitter at elduboisauthor. Instagram is elduboisauthor. Facebook, I have an author's page, which is eldubois. And I'm on LinkedIn. I think that's pretty much all the social media that I have. I am great about if people friend me, I friend them back. And I just am really excited, and I can't wait for people to kind of get to see the lighter side of me with the books that I have coming out, because I'm currently in the middle of writing a MC romance series that takes place in Texas. So we have not only strong Southern charm, but it's strong Southern charm bad boys on motorcycles. So it's a lot of fun.
Wow, it sounds very good, and it sounds like you've been doing a lot of work. So keep up the good work. Keep us informed. We know how to follow you on Facebook, your website. We look forward to seeing you on Netflix, Lifetime, and maybe at the theaters. So keep on doing a good. Yes, it is going to happen. So keep on doing the good work. I am your host, and we are signing off. Thank you so much, Ms. DuBois, for speaking with us on today. Thank you, and see you next time.
Thank you for listening to Indie Beacon Radio, where creative souls can find help in marketing their creations. To learn more about Indie Beacon services, to be a guest on the show, or to advertise on our show, please visit our website at indiebeacon.com.